Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya-Ananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances to all the devotees who are daily enthusiastically coming for this evening satsang programs online. Krishna has his own inconceivable ways of bringing devotees together in different circumstances. Whether it is during the COVID pandemic or during many other such circumstances, devotees find their way to associate with each other and discuss Krishna Katha. As Krishna himself said in the Bhagavad Gita, Matchitta madgata prana bodhayantaha parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. Devotees are those people who completely dedicate their chitta, their consciousness, their mind, their heart to Krishna. Madgata prana, they completely offer their lives to Krishna. And bodhayantaha parasparam, they enlighten each other, they teach each other, they share their realizations with each other, and together they enhance their Krishna consciousness. And whenever devotees come together to discuss Harikatha, the hearts of these devotees come closer to each other, and the hearts of these devotees come closer to Krishna. So today, and I'm very fortunate, feeling very fortunate and happy that almost every day we are discussing Krishna Katha multiple times. One day we had a break, right? But it's nice that we interact with each other with Bhagavatam or Krishna Katha in the center. Now today the topic that I was given by the Vaishnavas is Hṛdaya-Granthi-Bhedanam. Hṛdaya means heart, Granthi means knot. Hṛdaya-Granthi means the knot of the heart, Bhedanam means to cut it, how to cut the knot of heart. If it is not, we can unknot it, isn't it? When you are wearing shoes, if your shoelaces are entangled, you can untangle the shoelaces. But if the shoelaces are highly entangled, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 knots are there, it's very difficult to unknot them. Only way is to cut it. So when the knot becomes very tight, when the knot becomes so hard that multiple knots are there, one on one, it becomes like so tight, then there is no possibility of untangling them just with your fingers, with your nails. You just remove them. It doesn't work. If there are 100 knots, how can you do it? The only way to release oneself from such a tight knot is to cut it. Just take a scissor and cut it. You may lose the rope. It's okay, no problem. First, you release yourself. That's more important. So, what is this Hṛdaya-Granthi? Normal Granthi we understand. Shoelaces are entangled, that we understand. But Hṛdaya-Granthi is very deep-rooted. It's not visible. Invisibly, it binds us. it tightens us. The ropes of Maya are so tight. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mame vaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Mama maya duratyaya. This Maya means Krishna's illusory energy, and it has three qualities, three gunas of Maya: Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. You must have seen that picture in the Bhagavad Gita where three ladies are there in the sky and a couple of people are there on the ground, and these people are tied with ropes, and the ropes are held by the three ladies like this. They are like a puppeteer, puppet show person. So he just moves the fingers like this. Fingers are tied with ropes, and by the movements of these fingers, the dolls are also moving. They're fighting, they're dancing, they're doing many things. Like that, like a puppeteer, these three qualities of Maya, Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun, they are tying us, they are binding us, and to come out of their bondage is very difficult. They are just moving their fingers and making us dance in so many ways. Sometimes Sattvagun binds us, Tamogun binds us, Rajogun binds us. All gunas are binding us in so many ways. Don't think that Sattvagun is great. It definitely it is greater than Rajogun and Tamogun, but Sattvagun is also a bondage. Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakamanāmayam sukha sangyena badhnati jnana sangyena chanagha. This is Bhagavad Gita. You have that picture? Yeah. Oh, coincidence. See this picture. Whoever is online, you can see this picture here. Here, these three gunas, they are the three gunas of Maya. And Maya is ultimately servant of Krishna. So Krishna is the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. But in the material world, Krishna's Maya has these three representatives, Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun, and they're binding the living entities and making them function in so many ways. And Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakamanāmayam sukha sangyena badhnati jnana sangyena chanagha. So sukha sangyena. So there is some material happiness. I'm just trying to open that shloka for all of you. Yes, this one, 6th shloka in the 14th chapter. So sukha sangyena badhnati jnana sangyena chanagha. Sukha sangha means because of our association with material happiness, there is a bondage. We are bound to that happiness. We are addicted to that happiness. We are attached to that happiness. And that becomes a bondage. Sukha sangyena badhnati jnana sangyena chanagha. When you have so much of jnana, so much of knowledge, on a material plane also, that material knowledge also binds us. Some people have so much knowledge. Like some people, as soon as they open their mouth, they speak only about health. They speak about kapha, vata, pitta, balance, imbalance in the body. That knowledge about all the three doshas completely overwhelms their body. Of course, it's good to have that knowledge. Definitely you can help devotees with that knowledge. But sometimes what happens is that knowledge about how the material body functions overwhelms them so much that they're so caught up in that knowledge, and whatever they speak is tinged with that knowledge only, and they can't take interest in other knowledge, which is also beneficial for them. Especially when we are too caught up in material knowledge and don't take interest in spiritual knowledge, that's a distraction. Material knowledge is required. How to operate this phone, how to set up a tripod and do a class on YouTube live. So that knowledge is good, so that Krishna Katha can be shared with everyone. But this knowledge should not overpower our bhakti. This knowledge should assist our bhakti. Now, the devotees who know how to do this YouTube live, Zoom live, etc., they're able to set up everything and focusing on bhakti and trying to spread Krishna Katha through this. They're called Bhurida Jana. those are speaking Krishna Katha, those are facilitating for the spreading of Krishna Katha, they're all Buridas, right? So that knowledge that they have about this tripod, about this phones, about this Zoom live, internet, Wi-Fi, that's making them assist bhakti. That knowledge of material nature, material knowledge is helping them in their bhakti. As long as jnana is a subordinate to bhakti, that jnana is spiritualized, is being spiritualized. But if bhakti becomes subordinate to jnana, or bhakti is sidelined because of this material jnana, that's a bandhan. Sukha sangyena badhanati, jnana sangyena chanagha. Jnana and sukha, both will bind us. Yeah, we need some basic comfort. Sukha is required. We need some basic comfort in life. But if we are overly addicted to comforts and material happiness on a bodily platform, that addiction to material sukha is a bandhan. Material happiness is the cause of suffering. People don't realize it. And if sukha, if sattvagun can bind us so much, sattvagun can create so much of bondage, granthi, and not sattvagun can tie us like this. What to speak of rajogun? So Krishna says in the next sloka, rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavan tanni badhnati kaunteya karma sangyena dehina. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi. One who is influenced by rajogun. So they are characterized by raga. Raga means attachment. Not raga is not melody here. Here raga is attachment. So because of the influence of rajogun, people are bound by their own attachments. Trishna sanga samudbhavan. Trishna means there is intense hankering, intense material ambition. I want to attain this, I want to attain that, I want to become like this, I want to become like that. Lot of hankering, ambition. Having noble ambitions is great, but because of rajogun, people have material ambitions. They are diverted from their spiritual ambitions because of rajogun. Even if they have a lot, they want to attain more and more and more. They are on a spree to conquer the whole world, although they have enough already. Relax, calm down, and take some breath, and then chant some rounds, and then take some shelter of Krishna. No, they can't get into that. They are too ambitious on a material platform. That's bondage. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavan. And tanni badhanati kaunteya, tanni badhanati, that will also bind us. And how? Karma sangyena dehinam. When there is ambition, when there is trishna, not Krishna, trishna. Trishna means hankering, longing. When there is trishna, that trishna will take us away from Krishna. And the trishna will make us do karma, will make us absorb in karma. Karma, tanni badhanati kaunteya, karma sangyena chanagha, karma sangyena dehinam. So there is a bandhan towards karma, material activity. Why? There is trishna. I think some of you are, many of you are, most of you are there, right? In the Kunti Maharani prayers class. She says, Bhavesmin klishyamananam avidya kama karma bhi. You remember all the kids were making drawings, four boxes, flow chart. Why there is klesha? Because kama, karma, avidya, kama, karma, klesha. Avidya, ignorance. Oh, you also made a flow chart. So avidya, then kama, karma. So when there is kama, here kama is trishna here. Trishna is hankering. That is equivalent to kama, desire. So that kama or trishna will bind us to karma. And karma will lead to klesha. That's another Hṛdaya-Granthi. that knots us. All these ropes are not seen. Now here in this picture you are able to see. Here is the picture. Here in this picture you are able to see these three ladies. They are nicely decorated also, wearing colorful clothes also, nicely ornamented, and they are binding. But these three ladies are never seen only. Just for our understanding, they are presented here. And these ropes are also not seen. These movements are seen. So people are beating each other, dancing, fighting with each other. That is seen. But behind that there are ropes There are these three big ladies, Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. That they are not visible. The invisible forces of Maya, namely Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun, are binding us. They are not just binding with 1 knot, 2 knots, 10 knots, 1,000 knots, 10 million knots, 10,000 million knots. They are binding us since time immemorial. And how are they binding us? Are we not attentive? First thing is we are not attentive. But many times we are attentively allowing them to bind us. We are reciprocating with their bondage. When somebody is coming to tie you up, you will run away, or you will beat them, you will push them away. At least you will cry, you will scream, you will yell, you will shout to protect yourself. But most of us, conditioned souls, we are allowing them to bind us. Come, bind me. And 1 more knot. Why only 2 knots? Put 10 knots, please. Come, bind me, bind, bind, bind. So we are allowing ourselves to be bound by these people, by these 3 ladies. And they're all enthusiastic. Yes, I'll bind you. You may see something on YouTube. We clicked. Some unnecessary thing that may waste your time or that may spoil our consciousness. Some are like time-waste things, non-productive stuff. Some are very contaminating things, very poisonous things. By seeing something, you are not just wasting your time, you are allowing so many material impressions to enter the mind, and they will not leave us for lifetimes. Right? So you may just tap on something and you may see something. There are 10 recommended videos. You will see that also. You will see this also. You will see that also. You will see that also. And you will end up wasting a couple of hours. That is one side of it. But more than that, we will end up accumulating a lot of information, lot of impressions, lot of samskaras, lot of desires, lot of hankerings that are being accumulated. Now, these are all products of Maya, products of the 3 material modes, Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. And these invisible forces are visibly binding us, and we are allowing that bondage. We are saying, come and bind me, no problem. Please bind me. I'm there for you. The purpose of my existence is so that you can come and bind me with your ropes. We are inviting. Right? Every time we are tapping one more. We are inviting Maya. Come, bind me. Some are innocent. Some are ignorant. Some are extremely poisonous. And if this is the way Sattvagun and Rajogun binds us, you can't imagine the way Tamogun binds us. Next sloka, Krishna says, Tamastvajnana jamvidhi mohanam sarvadehinam. Ajnana and mohanam. Ajnana means ignorance, mohana means illusion. Then pramada alasya nidrabhi. Pramada, madness. Alasya, laziness. Nidra, sleep. All this will bind us. Tan nibadhanati bharata. They're binding us. So thus, the 3 modes of material nature are binding us. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So much of Granthi. Being influenced by these 3 material modes, knowingly and unknowingly, voluntarily or involuntarily, we are being influenced by these 3 knots, 3 modes that are binding us with multiple knots so that we don't get released. And this will influence our heart so much so that the prominent knot is the knot between man and woman. Rishabhadev says this in the 5th canto, 5th chapter of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. He says, Pumsam striya mithuni bhavametam tayo Hṛdaya-Granthi-Mahu. Hṛdaya-Granthi-Mahu, the word is coming from there. Hṛdaya-Granthi-Mahu. Pumsam striya means man and woman. Mithuni bhavametam means their attraction for sense gratification. The greatest bondage is not just the influence of material modes. Of course, ultimately, all kinds of granthis are under the umbrella of 3 material modes only, 3 gunas only. But under that big umbrella of 3 gunas, one of the prominent knot of Hṛdaya Granthi is the attraction between man and woman. Pumsam striya mithuni bhavamitam. That maithunya. In fact, the material world is called maithunyagar. Prahlad Maharaj says, Yan maithunadi grihamedhi sukham hitucham kanduyanena karayoriva dukkha dukkam tripyanti neha kripana bahu dukkha bhajam kandutivan manasijam vishaheta dhiraha. He says, Yan maithunadi grihamedhi sukham hitucham. Grihamedhi is a materialistic householder, not a Krishna conscious grihastha. It is Grihamedhi who is a materialistic householder. I'm staying here for quite a few days. I see every day Gaurarti happening nicely. Abhishek is happening. Morning Mangalarti is happening. Daily offering is happening. So Krishna is the center. Gaurnite are the center. Radha Madhava are the center of this place. Similarly, in the homes of so many Vaishnavas, whether it is Ambarish Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj, and Dhruva Maharaj, and Parikshit Maharaj, and Yudhishthira Maharaj in the Bhagavatam, or the current contemporary Vaishnavas in different countries, they are keeping Krishna in the center of their lives. They are keeping some deities of Krishna. They are beginning their day by worshipping Krishna, chanting Krishna's names, and they are serving Krishna by offering bhoga and all. That Krishna conscious grahastha life is the way to untangle ourselves from this entanglement. But in contrast to that, there is materialistic household life. That is what Prahlad Maharaj is criticizing here. In contrast to such pure Krishna conscious grahastha life is the materialistic household life. Yan maithunadi grihamedhi sukham hitucham. And what is that sukham of a grihamedhi? Maithun. Right? That sense gratification available in the association with the opposite gender is the central attraction for a materialistic household life. While Krishna conscious grahastha life keeps Krishna as the center, materialistic household life keeps Maithun as the center. Sense indulgence as the center. So day and night they are meditating on that, sense pleasures, not service to Krishna. Yan maithunadi grihamedhi sukham hitucham. That sense pleasure, that sukham is tucham. Kanduyanena karayoriva dukkha dukkham. Because that sukham is not only tucham, that sukham leads to dukkham. Now, what is the pleasure that, the Maithun pleasure that the materialistic householders experience? It's like the pleasure of scratching. Kanduyanena karayoriva dukkha dukkham. Like if you have some itching sensation here, you scratch. And that will kind of relieve you from some pain, from the itching sensation. But as soon as you take away your fingers, it continues to itch. Again you scratch. And you take off your fingers. You find relief while scratching. But as soon as you take off your finger, that will continue to itch. Right? Actually what's happening is when you scratch there, you are imagining that you are getting relieved from that infection or pain or itching sensation. It is apparently giving you some kind of relief, but it is only aggravating that urge to itch more, urge to scratch more. Once you scratch, it will make you scratch more and more and more and more. Not to get more and more relief. It will give you some impression that you are getting relieved from that itching sensation, but it is increasing the itching sensation and increasing the wound. The more you are scratched, the more skin will become very reddish, puffy, and if it is infected skin, you touch somewhere else, that infection will go there also. Thus it is aggravating the disease. It is not the solution. It's a way of aggravating the problem. It is not a solution. But that will make us feel that this is the solution. When you are feeling any itching sensation here, scratching with your nails is the solution. That's the impression that it gives. That's the urge that it creates. feels it. You scratch, it will be over. It will finish. But no doctor will suggest. There are a couple of doctors here. When somebody comes with some itching sensation, you will not say, you take your fingers and then keep scratching 10 times in a day. It will go away. If you don't have long nails, you take nails of your mother or father or sister or brother and then you ask them also to scratch. Daily 100 times. Morning 50 times. Afternoon 25 times, evening 25 times. Scratch. It will go away. No doctor will give such a suggestion. They will give some ointment or injection or tablet, something like that. But that scratching will give you some apparent relief and will increase your urge to scratch more and more, and ultimately will not relieve you from the pain. That's what Maithunya Sukha is. That is the real Hṛdaya-Granthi. Yan Maithunadi Grihamedhi Sukham Hitucham Kanduyanena Karayoriva Dukha Dukham Trupyanti Neha. There's no trupti. You keep on scratching. You are finding relief. But the real definition of relief is, once you experience it, you will not go back to it. Oh, I'm relieved. It's like somebody, sorry for giving such graphic examples, that's a topic you have given me. If somebody has some urge to evacuate, pass stool. So once they go and pass stool, then they are relieved. But what kind of relief is that is making you increase that urge to sit there for 2 hours? Right? Once you're relieved, you feel like coming out. You don't want to go there again. Right? That's a real relief. But if somebody, by evacuating, is feeling a sensation that I want to sit here for half an hour more, 2 hours more, 10 hours more, then that's not relief at all. Similarly, when you scratch, it should relieve you. But the scratching is making you scratch more and more and more and more, means you have never experienced that relief. Therefore, hankering for that relief, you are scratching more, isn't it? That's what Maithunya Sukha is. That's what illusory happiness is. That's what the happiness between a man and woman is. Simple. Yan Maithunadi Grihamedi Sukham Hitucham Kanduyenena Karayoriva Dukha Dukham Tripyanti Neha. There is no tripti. Bahu Dukha Bhajam, filled with so many distresses. And that's what Rishabhadev is criticizing there. Rishabhadev is saying, Pumsam Striya Mithuni Bhavametam. So this Pumsa and Striya, man and woman coming together for the purpose of sense enjoyment, whether in marriage or outside marriage, that is even more difficult, even more, even more binding to the material world. Yan Maithun Pumsam Striya Mithuni Bhavametam Tayo Mutha Hṛdaya-Granthi-Mahu. That will create Hṛdaya-Granthi. Because when a man and woman come together, it is not only the physical attraction, physical knot. Physically, there is one knot. There is always the urge to enjoy on a physical platform. That creates so many knots, no doubt. But that also binds the heart. Emotional bonding is also there, not only physical bonding. Apart from the physical bonding, emotions are also very much tied and intertwined with each other, right? So, if the man doesn't give attention to the woman, woman feels bad. Woman doesn't give attention to the man, man feels bad. If there's an apparent neglect or ignore from either side, other person will feel bad. And that will come out in the form of some aggression, some criticism, some chastisement. And that will further aggravate the situation, and then for a few days there is some kind of tension, friction going on. Then again apologizing, again coming together, again something will just bring them together, again say something. So a lot of emotional turmoil also is there. No Krishna there. Without any element of Krishna there is a lot of physical pain in the name of physical pleasure, emotional pain in the name of emotional exchanges. Hṛdaya-Granthi. Granthi. So many knots. With every day passing by, with every moment passing by, lot of knots are being there. And one only has to cut this. Right? Hṛdaya-Granthi-Mahu. So we discussed too much about the problem, right? But Prabhu said, Hṛdaya-Granthi-Bhedanam. Let's come to Bhedanam here. Now, I discussed too much the problem. Let's, in the second half of the session, let's discuss about the solution also. Solution is Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti ko vidastasya kona kuryat katharatim. You can read first canto, second chapter, maybe 15 sloka. Is it 15 or 16? Somewhere you can see first canto, second chapter. Very beautiful. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam. There Hṛdaya-Granthi, this is Karma Granthi. Karma Granthi leads to Hṛdaya-Granthi only. Karma is material action.
1 to 15.
1 to 15, yeah. Hṛdaya-Granthi is material emotion. Right? Material actions will lead to material emotions. Both material actions and material emotions will entangle us, will bind us, will knot us. Granthi is there. So Karma Granthi Nibandhanam. Chindanti ko vidastasya. Chindanti, how to cut that Hṛdaya-Granthi or Karma Granthi? By anudhyasina, yad anudhyasina, by meditating on the Lord. Anudhyana means remembering the Lord, doing smaranam, meditating on Krishna's nama, rupa, guna, lila. That's the way of cutting this knot of heart, which is very tight and very hard because of the influence of the three material modes, because of the attraction towards the opposite gender, because of material actions and material emotions. Great knot is formed. The only powerful force that can cut this knot is anudhyasina. See, dhyana is meditating on the Lord, but there's anudhyana. What is this anudhyana? Anu means anusara, following the footsteps of great souls. We need to worship the Lord, glorify the Lord, and remember the Lord, following the footsteps of great souls, great acharyas. The way acharyas have taught us, in that way we need to worship the Lord and remember the Lord. Yadanudhyasina yukta, then karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti. So Karma Granthi is knotting us, binding us, and chindanti, how to cut that? Anudhyasina, by meditating on the Lord, by remembering the Lord. Smartavyaha satatam Vishnu vismartavyo na jatuchit sarve vidhi nishedhasyur etayor eva kinkaraha. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So this is the essence of all scriptures. This is the essence of all rules and regulations, prescriptions and prohibitions in all the scriptures. So here anudhyana is emphasized, smaranam, meditating on Krishna's nama, rupa, guna, lila is emphasized. But what brings us to the stage of meditating on the Lord? What enables us to constantly remember the Lord? Remembrance is great. Amnaya abhyasananyaranya ruditam vedavratanyanvaham medascheda falani purta vidhayaha sarvam hutam bhasmani tirthanam avagahanani chagaja stanam vinayat pada dvandvam boruha samsmritim vijayate devasa narayana. If you don't come to the stage of meditating on the lotus feet of Narayana constantly, all our Vedic study is waste. Our going to different yatras and pilgrimage places, that is waste. In fact, all our rituals are waste. All our vratas or vows are waste. If all of them don't come to bring us to the position of remembering Krishna always. Okay, let me go into details. Beautiful shloka. He says, Amnaya abhyasananyaranya ruditam. Amnaya abhyasana means studying the Vedas. That is equivalent to aranya rodhana. You know what is aranya rodhana? When somebody loses his way and enters a forest, He's constantly crying in the forest. Why he's crying? Because there may be some tiger or a lion or a fox or a big what is that, python may swallow me. Where is my home? Which direction should I take? I don't have a GPS. My phone is discharged. I don't have battery bank. So people cry in wilderness when they are lost in the forest. So our scriptural shloka recitation is like crying in wilderness. Amnaya abhyasananya ruditam. Our study of scriptures or recitation of scriptural shlokas and Vedic mantras is like aranya rodana. How can you say like that? Yes, it is like that if we don't remember Krishna. The point is, all our study of scripture should bring us to a point where we remember Krishna. If that goal is not achieved, if you are not remembering Krishna, we are just reciting shlokas, chanting mantras. That's like aranya rodana. Like very graphically, Kuleshek Ralvar says this. Amnaya abhyasananya ruditam vedavratanyadvaham vedascheda falani. Vedavrata means you are doing so many vratas, taking so many vows. Upavas vrata, this vrata, that vrata you are doing without remembering Krishna. Then that vrata is a exercise to reduce bodily fat. Medascheda falani. The only result of all these vratas is bodily fat is reduced, that's all. Nothing more than that. If you don't remember Krishna. Purta vidhayaha sarvam hutam bhasmani. You may do a lot of rituals, sacrifices, this and that. But if it's not bringing you to Krishna consciousness, if it is not making you remember Krishna, doing smaranam of Krishna, yadanudhyasina yukta, then that is like pouring ghee into ashes. Purta vidhayaha sarvam hutam bhasmani. You take all these ingredients and then throw it in ash, not fire. It's like that. Tirthanam avagahanani cha gaja snanam vinayat pada. And going to different tirtha kshetras, going to different holy places, taking baths in different holy rivers, taking darshan of different deities. Without remembering Krishna, that is simply like elephant bath. Elephant enters the lake, takes bath nicely, comes out and throws that on himself. What's the point of taking bath like that? Right? So our pilgrimage is not effective. Our sacrifices are not effective. All the vratas, vows that we have taken, that's also not effective. Our shastric study is not effective if we don't come to a stage of remembering Krishna. Only remembrance of Krishna. Dvandvam bhoruha samsmritim vijayate devasa narayana. Only by remembering Krishna, we can cut this Hṛdaya-Granthi. Hṛdaya-Granthi-Bhedanam is possible only by remembering Krishna. But what brings us to the stage of constantly remembering Krishna? That's the question. What brings us to that stage? See the same shloka. 1 point, 2 point, 14, right? 15. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat katharatim. Katharati. The shloka, small shloka, Anushtup Chanda shloka. This shloka began with anudhyasina, remembering Krishna, ended with katharati. Katharati means attraction towards hearing Krishna's topics. That is katharati. Katha means Krishna's topics. Narrations about Krishna's nama, rupa, guna, lila. That is katha. Rati means attraction, eagerness to hear Harikatha. So your eagerness to hear Harikatha will bring you to the stage of constantly remembering Krishna, and that constant remembrance of Krishna will cut the Hṛdaya-Granthi. That's the solution. Hear, do Sravanam. When we hear Harikatha regularly, don't think that I already know this shloka. This pastime I know this pastime. I heard this pastime so many times. I read this pastime so many times. I spoke on this pastime so many times. What's the point of hearing again? If you think like that, we are an illusion. The purpose of Shravanam is not to know something new. The purpose of Shravanam is Anudhyan, remembering Krishna. The more we hear about Krishna, the more we think of him, the more we meditate on him. In fact, one hearing is nothing. Somebody told you something, you heard it once. You'll remember it always. If somebody is telling you 10 times, then you'll remember it, isn't it? Especially in Kali Yuga. Especially in Kali Yuga, if somebody tells us once, we may forget very easily. Effortlessly we'll forget. Only if they repeatedly tell us some things, then we'll remember. Yes, he's telling me repeatedly. Then you'll remember. Automatically you'll remember. As soon as you see their face, you'll remember. If they tell you once now, after that they don't follow up. No follow-up. You'll conveniently forget in 5 minutes. You'll never recollect it after 10 minutes. Many times it happens. It happens with me also. But if somebody comes and keeps on following up with you, they will remind you 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. Then as soon as you see them, you will remember it. I should do it now. Right? So that is the glory of repeated hearing. Especially for Kali Yuga people, we need to repeatedly hear the same pastime, same shloka, same katha. Repeatedly hear Bhagavatam. Point is, many even practicing sadhakas, devotees also, they have not yet read Bhagavatam once completely. There is a question of repetition. Repetition later. First do once at least. Once at least let's do. Right? Days are passing, months are passing, years are passing, decades are passing. Because of the passing time, one may be identified as senior devotee. Prabhu, you are senior devotee. 10 साल हो गया आपका? 10 साल? 10 साल से जपा कर रहे? Yeah. But thinking of something else. कितना भागवतम पढ़ा प्रभु? I'm in the 3rd chapter of 1st canto. 10 years? That's my pace, Prabhu. But Harinam Shankar says everything. Right? Sometimes mind can give us justification. I don't have to hear, I don't have to read, I don't have to remember, I should just chant, I should just dance in Harinam Sankirtan, which is good, definitely. But is there sufficient absorption? Acharyas say that your chanting becomes effective when you hear about the person whose names you are chanting. Thus, Shravanam definitely makes our Kirtanam effective. Unless we know the glories of the person, Krishna, how are we inspired to chant his names? Of course, even without knowledge, somebody chants sincerely, they will go back to Godhead, no doubt. And knowing Krishna's glories is not possible also completely, but it is something we need to know, right? But if we know about Krishna's Nama Rupa Guna Lila by studying Bhagavatam, that will help us take shelter of Krishna while chanting the holy names of Krishna much better. Just imagine the quality of your chanting before reading Bhagavatam and after reading Bhagavatam. Imagine your prayerful attitude during chanting, the quality of your chanting before reading Bhagavatam and after reading Bhagavatam. There's a difference. The more we know about the Supreme Lord, his Nama, his Rupa, his Guna, his Leela, his compassion, his pastimes, his sweetness, his mercy, his beauty, his power, his Bhakta Vatsalyata. So the more we know about him, the more we become eager to chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. There's an eagerness. There's a commitment to the process of chanting. Otherwise, one may give up that commitment also. One may not be sufficiently inspired to chant. So Shravanam definitely enhances our eagerness to chant the names of the Lord. That's the fuel. Shravanam begins. Is the first process. Eventually, we'll take more interest in Kirtanam. And that will lead to Smaranam. Right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Anudhyana is important, right? So, Anudhyana is nicely backed up by Shravanam, hearing. You hear about the Lord, then you chant nicely. You need to do both. Not that we are saying one thing is better than other thing, and that's not the point here. Everything has its own significance, and everything supports each other, complements each other. There is a collaborative effort between the process of Sravanam and Kirtanam to bring us to the level of Smaranam. So, the more you hear about the person, the more you are eager to glorify that person. The more you hear and glorify a person, the more you remember that person. And that remembrance of Krishna, that hearing about Krishna, that chanting about Krishna, that will help us cut this Hṛdaya-Granthi, cut this knot of the heart, material knot. So the essence is chant and hear and remember. Then the Hṛdaya-Granthi is cut. And coming back to our topic, we discussed the solution also for some time, but let's wind it up nicely, otherwise it will remain incomplete. Last thing that I wanted to mention is it required to cut that Hṛdaya-Granthi? We already discussed in Kunti Maharani's prayers. What did she say? Sneha pasham imam chindi. Atha vishvesha vishvatman vishvamurte svakeshu me. Sneha pasham imam chindi. We are saying Granthi. She said pasham. Granthi is not. Pasham is rope. What is the rope doing? The rope is only binding us, putting a knot, right? So the word pasham that she used in her shloka and the Granthi in our topic, both are same. Sneha pasham imam chindi. Please cut this. Yadanu yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovudasya chindi. Cut the rope, she said. Yeah, we are saying cut the knot. Both are ultimately same. So cut the rope, cut the knot. So why is she asking Krishna to cut that knot or rope that's binding her? What is the rope that's binding her? Sneha pasham. The rope of affection for family members. That's binding. It could be affection for spouse, it could be affection for children, it could be affection for any family member or any of the household paraphernalia. Sometimes there's a lot of attachment to the household paraphernalia. My chair, my sofa, my wall clock. I have spent so much of money to make this building. I took loan from here, I took loan from there. Lot of thought process goes into constructing a home. And all these thoughts in constructing the home will remain sweet or whatever tag you want to give, memories in the heart. And till the last breath, they're thinking about their home only. There is a lot of feelings and emotions and attachment to the home. And in the next life, they may take birth as an ant in the home, or a dog in front of the home, or a snake in the hole of the home, or a rat in the home, or maybe another human being in the home, because there's attachment to the home. A lot of attachment, Granthi. So, home is not the problem. Family members are not the problem. But what is our perspective? We are looking at them in what consciousness? That's the main problem. Kunti Maharani says, my dear Krishna, let me love the Pandavas and love the Vrishnis, not because they are my family members or my blood relations. Let me love them because they are your devotees. Let me love them because they are your devotees. So when you look at your family members or your spouses or your children or anyone around you as Krishna's servant, as Krishna's Amsha, as Krishna's child, as a Vaishnava, or as a potential Vaishnava. He may not be a Vaishnava now, but he'll become Vaishnava in future. Right? So by looking at people in a spiritual perspective, from a spiritual vision, that will cut that Hṛdaya-Granthi. Granthi is material. And that material Granthi is formed because of seeing people around you from a material vision. But if we start looking at people around us with a spiritual vision, seeing them as Vaishnavas, and thinking that whatever you are doing for them is a Vaishnava seva, then there's no Hṛdaya-Granthi. And there's no need to cut that Hṛdaya-Granthi. We are all Vaishnavas, we are staying together. Hṛdaya-Granthi is on a material platform. And that Granthi is formed when we look at people around us from a material perspective, with a material vision, seeing them as sources of our material sense gratification, or sources of material emotional stimulation. When we are trying to connect with people with either material physical enjoyment or material emotional satisfaction, then there is a Hṛdaya-Granthi. But if we try to cultivate affection for them on a spiritual platform, seeing them as Vaishnavas, seeing every living being as a Vaishnava, not only our family members. Okay, let's begin with the family members first, because they're right in front of us. Start looking at them as Vaishnavas, seeing them from spiritual perspective, thinking that Krishna has kept me in this association of these Vaishnavas. This is the Vaishnava Sangha that Krishna has arranged for me. And whatever I do for them is Vaishnava Seva. When you look at the immediate family members as Vaishnavas from a spiritual perspective, and do whatever you are doing. You serve their material bodies, no problem, but that becomes a spiritual service. You feed their material bodies by cooking and feeding them, that becomes spiritual service. Just spiritualizing all our activities that we do in connection with our family members, Pumsam, Striyam and all that, then that will not lead to Hṛdaya-Granthi. If it has already led to Hṛdaya-Granthi, from now on, start looking them as Vaishnavas and sit together and chant with them, discuss Harikatha with them, enhance your Krishna Smaranam in their company, worship Krishna along with them, then Hṛdaya-Granthi is automatically slackened and cut and burnt and smashed completely. Madrik prapanna pasupasha vimokshanaya muktaya bhuri karunaya namolayaya swamshena sarvatanu brahmanasi pratita pratyagdrishe bhagavate brihate namaste. Gajendra says, Madrik prapanna pasupasha vimokshanaya. Pashu, I'm a Pashu. I'm under Pasha. Pasha is again rope, Hṛdaya-Granthi, Pasha. Sneha Pasham, Imam Chindi. So this is another rope that is binding. So Vimokshanaya, oh Lord, you can relieve me from this rope. I understand that you can relieve me from this rope very effortlessly. Gajendra is saying this. When will this happen? When can Krishna give that Vimokshana? When we do Prapanna. Madrik Prapanna Pasupasha Vimokshanaya. For him to do Vimokshana, first we should do Prapanna. We may be Pashus. Don't feel offended that Bhagavatam is addressing us as Pashus. Anyone who is under the influence of the three material modes can be called Pashu. Pashu Pasha. What is the Pasha there? Pasha is three material modes. And whoever is under the bondage of the three material modes is a Pashu. Okay? Any discomfort in being addressed like that by Bhagavatam? So, materialistic people are like Pashus, like Gajendra. Gajendra is saying, I am Pashu. But anyone under the influence of material modes is a Pashu only. So, proper rights is. So, we are Pashus, and there is Pasha of Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas, Hṛdaya-Granthis and all. But how to cut this? How to get this Vimokshana? Prapanna, surrender unto Krishna, take shelter of Krishna. And how to take shelter of Krishna? Hearing and chanting. Shravanam Kirtanam. That leads to Smaranam. So, this is Hṛdaya-Granthi-Bhedanam. Thank you very much. Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, comments, objections?
I was reminded
You can sit, Mataji.
I was reminded of that canto, Bhaktivedanta and Mother Devagati. There also this gives this analogy of pouring the ghee libation on the ash. Where he says if you don't see Paramatma in other living entities, if you don't have that, or if you have Hṛdaya Darshan, I mean different separatist mentality, then it is the same. So our consciousness to get to that level of seeing the Lord in every other living entity around us comes only by constant hearing and chanting this.
Correct.
So I was reminded of that.
Hmm.
And Prabhuji, the best thing that I have learned, which I will remember for life, hopefully, is that the love of Godhead, the four examples: loving God, loving those who love God, loving those who are trying to love God, and loving those whom God loves. This is, I'm able to connect that when we look at whether the family members or outsiders at a Vaishnava level platform, we get that tendency to love them. So there will be no hatred, there will be no envy, there will be no malice or other things, which will help us to further in Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Okay. Anyone from online?